This tome has passed from Lord Seeker to Lord Seeker since the time of the old Inquisition. And now it falls to me.
That's a lot of not very exciting reading, apparently.
Do you know what the Rite of Tranquility is? The last resort used on mages in the Circle, leaving them unable to cast, but depriving them of dreams and all emotion. It should only be used on those who cannot control their abilities, but that has not always been the case.
Does the book say it was used for other things?
No. As a seeker, I looked into abuses. Mages made tranquil as punishment. What finally began the Mage Rebellion was the discovery the Rite of Tranquility could be reversed. The Lord Seeker at the time covered it up, harshly. There were deaths. It was dangerous knowledge, the shock of its discovery in addition to what happened in Kirkwoll. But it appears we've always known how to reverse the rite, from the beginning.
Why keep that knowledge a secret?
We created the Rite of Tranquility. I told you of my vigil, the months I spent emptying myself of all emotion. I was made tranquil and didn't even know. Then the vigil summoned the spirit of faith to touch my mind. That broke tranquility and gave me my abilities. The Seekers did not share that secret. Not with me, not with the Chantry, not even with... There's more. Lucius was not wrong about the Order. I thought to rebuild the Seekers once victory was ours. Now I'm not certain it deserves to be rebuilt.
You said there was more in the book.
At some point, power becomes its own master. We cast aside ideals in favor of expedience, and tell ourselves it was all necessary for the people. Will that happen to us, Inquisitor? Will we repeat history?
We might. It would be lying to say it's impossible.
An honest answer, if not a comforting one.
I don't think I've ever seen you so shaken.
I do not think the Seekers have been doing the Maker's work. Not truly. Perhaps we believed it once. The original Inquisition came to be during a terrible time. But now, we harbored secrets and let them fester. We acted to survive, but not to serve. That is not the Maker's work.
If you did rebuild the Seekers, how would you do it?
I can't be the only one remaining. We will always spread to the winds, and some may still be out there. I would find them one by one. We would all read this book, no more secrets. Then together we would establish a new charter. The Maker's work in truth.
You keep saying that, but what is the Maker's work?
There is no way to know for certain. That is why we must seek it out. Perhaps we lost our way because we stopped looking.
Rebuild the Seekers. Make them better than they were.
Thank you. I could not have done this on my own.
Well, how are you?
You were quick to join the Inquisition. Is there something you want?
How could I waste a chance to get close to you? And Corypheus? My goodness. And actual physical rifts in the Veil? Also dwarves? We don't dream. So, when mages talk about it, I can only, well, dream what it would be like. So there's that, and all the things you'll probably find, and what I'll get to make. The rules are different here. Plus, you're paying me a lot. Like, wow, so much.
What qualifies you to be an arcanist?
I took the title because I'm a magical researcher, philosopher, and master of practical application. And I like it. I can't actually do magic because I'm a dwarf, but that also means no risk of possession. Safer than a mage. It means that every skill I have, I've learned through reason and understanding. Coming from the smith caste, I know the value of mastering a craft. Did you know dwarves invented enchanting? Probably.
What is it you do, exactly?
I was born to the forge. That's literal in the smith caste. So the hammer and tong, that's like a heartbeat. But you've a man for that already, and a good one. I'm here because of my passion for magic. Magical study, magical theory, magical enchantment, and through it, the manipulation of masterworks. I studied it all with an objective eye. No secrets, no fears. That lets me apply principles like no other. Maybe one other, but I don't have that wonky of a mind, so I still kinda win.
What's the story with enchanting?
Lyrium is the heart. In certain rational patterns, it beats like something alive. That's how I see it. So, a mage can make your weapons do things, but with the right runes, the right rarities, your toys become wonders. It's the one thing mages can't do. Drives them mad. Literally. Dwarves are resistant, so it doesn't affect us. Mostly.
You have the ability to make exceptional weapons and armor. Masterworks?
There's an art to the forge, as well as enchanting. You need an ear for it. And hands. Eyes, too. Nothing bad to say about Herod on that front. He's wonderful. But there's this little more needed. With the right bits, an edge can be more than an edge. Armor can do more than protect. A hue can be just a bit brighter. In short, smithing can be more. In short.
Another time, Dagna.
Of course. Bring me what you want made, and I'll make sure it goes just right.
I've got a minute if you need something.
I want to know more about Red Lyrium.
I'll tell you what I can.
I've seen it infect people like a disease and turn them to lyrium. How can it do that?
That's a good question. The people I've had studying the stuff say you need to actually touch it to get infected. But it seems to take time. The longer you spend with it, the more likely you'll come down with a case of the crazy. But how it works, and if it can be cured, they haven't figured out.
What could the Templars want with it?
In Kirkwall, just having the lyrium idol made Knight Commander Meredith impossibly strong. Before it turned her into a lyrium statue, anyway. Maybe they thought the power was worth it, or maybe they didn't know the consequences.
My Lady Inquisitor, it's good of you to speak with me. I have news regarding one of your companions, the Tevinter.
Is that a note of distaste I detect, Mother Giselle?
I admit his presence here makes me uncomfortable, Inquisitor, but my feelings are of no importance. I have been in contact with his family. House Pavus, out of Carenas. Are you familiar with them?
Familiar? We've never met, if that's what you're suggesting.
I'm suggesting nothing. I'm only curious whether you know of his situation. The family sent a letter describing the estrangement from their son and pleading for my aid. They've asked to arrange a meeting quietly without telling him. They fear it's the only way he'll come. Since you seem to be on good terms with the young man, I'd hoped...
Just what kind of meeting do they have in mind?
I believe they just want to talk, to understand why Dorian felt he had to come here. Somewhere private, away from Skyhold, but not in Tevinter. You make them nervous, I think. They don't understand why he's here with the Inquisition. They want him to come home.
I'd be worried too if my son ran off to join some gauche foreigners on a crusade.
So would I. Although I suspect there's more to it than either of us understands.
Why would his family contact you?
Because they don't know you, Inquisitor. I am not of the Imperial Chantry, but they know what I represent. These are parents concerned about the welfare of their son. How could I not do whatever possible? I would speak to the young man myself, but he does not care for me. Thus I come to you. If any good can come of this, we must try.
They don't want Dorian to know. That seems odd.
They believe the young man would refuse, and the letter implies he'd have cause. Yet they are remorseful for whatever came before. This is a chance for dialogue. There is deceit in bringing the young man to this meeting without his foreknowledge, I know. But does it not lead to a greater kindness if there is potential for reconciliation?
Are you sure this isn't some kind of trap? I mean, the secrecy...
That did occur to me. What if it is a plot of those mages, the Venatori? Another reason to put this in your hands, Inquisitor. I pray that isn't the case. But if it is, you are far better equipped than I to respond to such treachery.
If you think I'm going to trick Dorian into meeting his family...
I feared you might say that. The family will send a retainer to meet the young man at the Red Cliff Tavern, to take him onward. If he truly does not wish this reunion, he can always end the matter there. I pray you change your mind, Inquisitor. Perhaps their letter will persuade you. If there is any chance of success in this, it behooves us to act.
Something you need?
Dorian, there's a letter you need to see.
A letter? Is it a naughty letter? A humorous proposal from some Antivan dowager?
Not quite. It's from your father.
From my father? I see. And what does Magister Hallward want, pray tell?
A meeting.
Show me this letter. I know my son? What my father knows of me would barely fill a thimble. This is so typical. I'm willing to bet this retainer is a henchman, hired to knock me on the head and drag me back to Tevinter.
This could be the Venatori. Lure us somewhere remote, then an ambush.
Perhaps. Although this does look like my father's penmanship. Or, could he have joined the Venatori? No, that can't. Well, anything is possible. Let's go. Let's meet this so-called family retainer. If it's a trap, we escape and kill everyone. You're good at that. If it's not, I send the man back to my father with a message that he can stick his alarm in his wit's end.
There seems to be bad blood between you and your family.
Interesting turn of phrase. But you're correct. They don't care for my choices, nor I for theirs.
Because you wouldn't get married? Because you left?
That too.
I think you should meet with this retainer. Find out what your family wants.
I didn't ask what you thought, did I? That was unworthy, I apologize. There'd be no harm in hearing what this man of my father's has to say. If I don't like it, however, I want to leave.
I'm having trouble imagining a scenario where you'd like anything he said.
So am I. But who knows? Maybe my father has something new in mind.
Was there something you needed?
You and the Red Templar's leader seem to have personal history.
When I arrived in Kirkwall, Samson and I shared quarters. He seemed a decent man at first. Knight Commander Meredith later expelled Samson for erratic behavior. He ended up begging on Kirkwall streets. He was reinstated at the champion's request, but he was still bitter, still angry. Now Samson serves Corypheus as his loyal general.
Why do you think Samson joined Corypheus?
He had a chronic lyrium addiction. He spent every last coin buying it from local smugglers. Perhaps Corypheus flattered his vanity, gave him purpose as well as lyrium. Perhaps that's all it took.
You can't deny being a general is an improvement to living on the streets.
I'd rather die than kneel to Corypheus. Clearly Samson felt otherwise. I don't understand how he became so powerful. Even with red lyrium, Samson's glory days are long behind him.
Training hard, Inquisitor. You have the best people, and we're gonna help.
It wasn't blood in the bath, fingers on the scalp, intimate, and then the moment is gone.
I'd like to talk with you about Templars.
They're heavy with forgotten songs, like Varric. Some of them are too loud. It's hard to stay near them. Cullen is softer, but demons asked questions that hurt him. Evangeline was kinder. I want to explain, but Rhys's mother spoke to spirits, but not to him. Then she died for a Templar he loved. Words just bounce off the edges.
What's your general opinion of Templars?
Some like hurting mages. It makes them happy, or less afraid, or dreams again. Woke up shaking, stalking the ground for one who looks like her. Always some rule being broken. But not all Templars listen when whispers crawl around inside them. They try to protect people, like Cullen. The good ones remember that mages are people.
Can you tell me more about how the Templars feel to you?
They feel older than they look. They've been changed, and their bodies are incomplete now. The lyrium helps, but their bodies always want to connect to something older, bigger than they are. That's why they block magic. They reach for that other thing, and magic has no room to come in. Like when I listen to Varric.
Can you tell me more about how the Red Templars are different?
The red lyrium is different, darker, daggers under the skin. It eats you inside until you're nothing. They hear a different song. The song behind the door old whispers want opened. They are dead and dark and done.
I'm here.
How much do you know about Corypheus?
Not much. I always thought the stories of magisters corrupting the Golden City were just that, stories. I didn't expect them to be true, and I certainly didn't expect to find one of them still alive.
Corypheus stopped being human a long time ago. Darkspawn don't have human lifespans, do they?
No, I suppose they don't. They're unnatural and sustained by evil. It's been thousands of years. You'd think the Wardens would have managed to kill the first Darkspawn by now.
Do you know if there are more Darkspawn like Corypheus?
I don't know. I'm not sure any Warden knows.
Don't the Grey Wardens know everything about Darkspawn?
You don't have to know how a Darkspawn came to be in order to kill it. We're soldiers, not historians. And the world would be better off if people focused on defeating evil rather than explaining how it came to be.
Let's discuss something else. What do you think of the Inquisition?
I just know that you could shake this world to its foundations if you willed it.
What do you think of my advisors?
Cullen. He's got the look of a man who's been through too much. He's seen the best and the worst of humanity, and I think he still struggles with where that leaves him. Still, I trust him to watch my back.
You must have some feelings about our friends.
The less I think about Dorian, the better.
We should return to our duties.
As you wish. You are, after all, in charge.
Inquisitor?
Can you tell me anything about Corypheus?
I know nothing of the man personally, but the Chant of Light speaks of what he claims to be. No matter their power, their triumphs, the mage lords of the winter were men and doomed to die. Then a voice whispered within their hearts, "Shall you surrender your power to time like the beasts of the fields? You are the lords of the earth. Go forth to claim the empty throne of heaven and be gods."
That was one of the old gods speaking in their dreams?
Yes, Dumat as I understand it. In secret, they worked magic upon magic. All their power and all their vanity they turned against the veil, until at last it gave way.
That sounds like what happened with the breach.
Very similar, Inquisitor. Above them, a river of light. Before them, the throne of heaven waiting. Beneath their feet, the footprints of the Maker, and all around them echoed a vast silence. But when they took a single step toward the empty throne, a great voice cried out, shaking the very foundations of heaven and earth.
Corypheus said he found only chaos and corruption.
The Chant of Light says that it was beautiful until the Maker himself spoke. And so is the Golden City blackened with each step you take in my hall. Marvel at perfection, for it is fleeting. You have brought sin to heaven and doom upon all the world.
Corypheus seemed so certain that he heard nothing. He described it as dead whispers.
Bitterness, perhaps? He paid a high price for his crime. Violently were they cast down, for no mortal may walk bodily in the realm of dreams, bearing the mark of their crime.
Walking bodily in the realm of dreams is exactly what Corypheus said he did. But the mark, could it be related to the mark I bear?
I cannot say. Perhaps Andraste saw clearly and we misinterpreted her words. It was always taught that the mark they bore was the shape of darkspawn. Bodies so maimed and distorted that none should see them and know them for men. That is all I know of your adversary, Inquisitor.
Some of the chant of light describes what we've seen and what Corypheus said, but not all of it.
The chant of light is the work of mankind. We of all people must accept that mankind is fallible. Listeners may have misheard one of Andraste's songs. Just one word sung incorrectly could change everything. And how many verses were stricken or changed for foolish political reasons, like the Canticle of Chartan. Still, I would trust these words over any spoken by Corypheus. I hope they help you.
A situation requires your attention, Inquisitor. Noble Chantry loyalists in the city of Jadar are spreading accusations that you're responsible for the Divine's death. They're unusually organized. I recommend we send people to Jadar to deal with the matter.
What does the nobility gain by saying I murdered Justinia?
A scapegoat to begin with, but I wonder if the Grand Clerics are at work. Those immediately eligible to be divine died at the Conclave. The ones remaining were not as favored. They may look upon you as a rival for influence.
Will anyone even believe me if I claim I didn't kill the Divine?
Perhaps if they learn about your heroics. We should emphasize how you stopped the breach devouring the sky. Even in Jadar, it may win you a few admirers.
Why don't we counter these falsehoods by starting rumors of our own?
A whisper campaign. It would show those in the know we have some subtlety at our command.
I can't believe my father's gall. Of course, he couldn't come here to Skyhold. No, that would be too much. But contacting some southern cleric on the sly, much wiser. If this is some Venatori connivance, I will be utterly disappointed.
You deal with the wolves, and our farmers will be safe again.
The wolves should be back to normal now. There shouldn't be any further trouble.
That's good to hear. I'll send word to the farmers and let my husband know what you've done. It may not seem like much, but you've given this land hope it desperately needed. Thank you.
If those refugees are going to defend themselves, they'll need real defenses. I've got a few ideas.
I've built watchtowers in the areas you recommended.
Nicely done. That'll give both your refugees and our farmers some warning next time trouble pays a visit. I'll speak to the Master and have weapons sent to your people at the crossroads.
Elena says you got rid of those demon-cursed wolves. Should be safer for our farmers now. You've held up your end of our bargain, Inquisition. You'll have my whole stable and good hands to go with it.
You sent your stable hands and your horses to the Inquisition. What about you?
Well, you've cleaned up the area, and I can't say I'm not tempted. Still, it feels wrong to abandon my land to go play horsemaster again.
I suppose you're right. The Orlesian Chevaliers do have stronger horses.
The Orlesians? Hang that. No hopped-up Orlesian pissboy knows more about horses than I do. All right, Inquisition. I'll look to your horses myself. Never let it be said that Redcliffe gave less than the best. Just let me settle matters here and say goodbye to my wife. I'll meet you at Skyhold.
Uh-oh, nobody's here. This doesn't bode well.
Dorian.
Father. So the whole story about the family retainer was just, what? A smokescreen?
Then you were told. I apologize for the deception, Inquisitor. I never intended for you to be involved.
Of course not. Magister Pavus couldn't come to Skyhold and be seen with the dread Inquisitor, what would people think? What is this exactly, Father? Ambush? Kidnapping? Warm family reunion?
This is how it has always been.
I should leave you to work this out.
Oh, no, you don't. I want a witness. I want someone to hear the truth.
Dorian, there's no need to.
I prefer the company of men. My father disapproves.
I'll need you to explain that.
Did I stutter? Men, and the company thereof, as in sex. Surely you've heard of it.
You've never been with a woman, or wanted to?
Allow me to say, women are fine creatures. You, for instance, are amazing above all others. They're just not for me. That's not so beyond belief, is it?
This display is uncalled for.
No, it is called for. You called for it by luring me here.
This is not what I wanted.
I'm never what you wanted, Father. Or had you forgotten?
That's a big concern in Tevinter, then.
Only if you're trying to live up to an impossible standard. Every Tevinter family is intermarrying to distill the perfect mage, perfect body, perfect mind, the perfect leader. It means every perceived flaw, every aberration is deviant and shameful. It must be hidden.
Your father might be here to reach out. You could give him a chance.
Let's just go.
Dorian, please. If you'll only listen to me.
Why? So you can spout more convenient lies? He taught me to hate blood magic. The resort of the weak mind. Those are his words. But what was the first thing you did when your precious heir refused to play pretend for the rest of his life? You tried to change me.
I only wanted what was best for you.
You wanted the best for you? Your fucking legacy. Anything for that.
Don't leave it like this, Dorian. You'll never forgive yourself.
Tell me why you came.
If I knew, I would drive you to the Inquisition.
You didn't. I joined the Inquisition because it's the right thing to do. Once, I had a father who would have known that.
Once, I had a son who trusted me. A trust I betrayed. I only wanted to talk to him, to hear his voice again, to ask him to forgive me.
What can I do for you?
I'm interested in what you told me of yourself in your studies. If you have time, I'd like to hear more.
You continue to surprise me. All right, let us talk. Preferably somewhere more interesting than this.
Why here?
Haven is familiar. It will always be important to you.
We talked about that already.
I sat beside you while you slept, studying the anchor.
How long can it take to look at a mark on my hand?
A magical mark of unknown origin? Tied to a unique breach in the veil? Longer than you might think. I ran every test I could imagine. Searched the Fade, yet found nothing. Cassandra suspected duplicity. She threatened to have me executed as an apostate if I didn't produce results.
Cassandra's like that with everyone.
Yes. You were never going to wake up? How could you? A mortal sent physically through the Fade. I was frustrated, frightened. The spirits I might have consulted had been driven away by the breach. Although I wished to help, I had no faith in Cassandra, or she in me. I was ready to flee.
The breach threatened the whole world. Where did you plan to go?
Someplace far away, where I might research a way to repair the breach before its effects reached me. I never said it was a good plan. I told myself, one more attempt to seal the rifts. I tried and failed. No ordinary magic would affect them. I watched the rifts expand and grow, resigned myself to flee, and then... It seems you hold the key to our salvation. You had sealed it with a gesture. And right then, I felt the whole world change.
Felt the whole world change?
A figure of speech.
I'm aware of the metaphor. I'm more interested in felt.
You change everything.
Sweet talker.
We shouldn't. It isn't right. Not even here.
What do you mean, even here?
Where do you think we were?
This isn't real.
That's a matter of debate. Probably best discussed after you wake up. Sleep well?
When I asked to talk to you, I didn't think we'd be doing it in the Fade. Or, for that matter, doing it in the Fade.
I apologize. The kiss was impulsive and ill-considered, and I should not have encouraged it.
You say that, but you're the one who started with tongue.
I did no such thing.
Oh, does it not count if it's only Fade tongue?
It has been a long time, and things have always been easier for me in the Fade. I am not certain this is the best idea. It could lead to trouble.
I'm willing to take that chance, if you are.
Maybe, yes. If I could take a little time to think. There are considerations.
Take all the time you need.
Thank you. I am not often thrown by things that happen in dreams, but I am reasonably certain we are awake now. And if you wish to discuss anything, I would enjoy talking.
He says we're alike. Too much pride. Once I would have been overjoyed to hear him say that. Now I'm not certain. I don't know if I can forgive him.
He tried to change you.
Out of desperation. I wouldn't put on a show, marry the girl, keep everything unsavory, private and locked away. Selfish, I suppose. Not to want to spend my entire life screaming on the inside. He was going to do a blood ritual. Alter my mind. Make me acceptable. I found out. I left.
Can blood magic actually do that?
Maybe. It could also have left me a drooling vegetable. It crushed me to think he found that absurd risk preferable to scandal. Part of me has always hoped he didn't really want to go through with it. If he had, I can't even imagine the person I would be now. I wouldn't like that, Dorian.
I'll never understand why blood magic is supposed to solve everything.
The lure of the shortcut. Hard for anyone to resist. Thank you for bringing me out there. It wasn't what I expected, but it's something. Maker knows what you must think of me now, after that whole display.
I don't know. It was certainly a spectacle.
Oh? I'm so pleased to provide you amusement.
There has to be a reason I keep you around.
Just the one. My wounded pride. At any rate, time to drink myself into a stupor. It's been that sort of day. Join me sometime, if you've a mind.
Adamant Fortress has stood against the Darkspawn since the time of the Second Blight.
Fortunately for us, that means it was built before the age of modern siege equipment. A good trebuchet will do major damage to those ancient walls. And thanks to our Lady Ambassador...
Lady Cyril of Jadar was pleased to lend the Inquisition her sabers. They've already delivered the trebuchets.
That is the good news. None of that accounts for the Wardens summoning a giant demon army. That is the bad news.
The Inquisition forces can breach the gate, but if the Wardens already have their demons...
I found records of Adamant's construction. There are choke points we can use to limit the field of battle.
That's good. We may not be able to defeat them outright. But if we cut off reinforcements, we can carve you a path to Warden Commander Clarel.
So our plan is to lay siege to a legendary fortress filled with demons.
It'll be hard fought, no way around it. But we'll get that gate open.
It's also possible that some Wardens may be sympathetic to our cause.
The warriors may be willing to listen to reason, though I doubt they will turn against Clarel directly. The mages, however, are slaves to Corypheus. They will fight to the death.
We've built the siege engines and readied our forces, Inquisitor. Give the word, and we march on Adamant.
Pull back! They're through!
All right, Inquisitor. You have your way in. Best make use of it. We'll keep the main host of demons occupied for as long as we can.
That's a worrying lack of specificity there, Commander.
There are more of them than I was hoping, Inquisitor.
You don't say.
Warden Loghain will guard your back. Hawk is with our soldiers on the battlements. She's assisting them until you arrive. There's too much resistance on the walls. Our men on the ladders can't get a foothold. If you can clear out the enemies on the battlements, we'll cover your advance.
Wardens! We are betrayed by the very world we have sworn to protect!
The Inquisition is inside, Clarel. We have no time to stand on ceremony.
These men and women are giving their lives, Magister. That might mean little in Tevinter, but for the Wardens, it is a sacred duty. It has been many long years, my friend.
Too many, Clarel. If my sword arm can no longer serve the Wardens, then my blood will have to do.
It will.
We must complete the ritual!
I'm sure you can't wait for Clarel to do that. How else are you going to bind her?
Yes, Inquisitor. I want to bind the Warden Commander to a demon. Everyone in this room already knows that. And yes, the ritual requires blood sacrifice. Hate me for that if you must, but do not hate the Wardens for doing their duty!
We make the sacrifices no one else will. Our warriors die proudly for a world that will never thank them.
And then he takes your mage's minds for his real master, Corypheus.
Corypheus? But he's dead.
These people will say anything to shake your confidence, Clarel.
Bring it through!
Please. I've seen more than my share of blood magic. It is never worth the cost.
I betrayed the Wardens once and it cost me everything! Are you mad enough to think I'd do it again?
Be ready with the ritual, Clarel. This demon is truly worthy of your strength.
Blackwall, can you talk some sense into them?
You don't know me, but you may have heard my name. Like you, I've given my life to the Grey Wardens. The first time I put on this armor, I felt like I belonged. Like I was part of something honorable. Something with a purpose. I know how good that feels. How safe. But fighting and dying here today won't stop the Blight. If you want to stop the Blight, kill that bastard up there. His master is the living embodiment of its corruption.
Clarel, we have come so far. You're the only one who can do this.
Perhaps we could test the truth of these charges to avoid more bloodshed.
Or perhaps I should bring in a more reliable ally. My master thought you might come here, Inquisitor. He sent me this to welcome you. Clarel, wait.
Help the Inquisitor! You've destroyed the Grey Wardens.
You did that to yourself, you stupid bitch. All I did was dangle a little power before your eyes, and you couldn't wait to get your hands bloody. could have served a new god.
I will never serve the Blight! In peace, vigilance.